What's going on, everybody? Today we have our predictions for match day 2 in the Premier League. Now, for match day 1, we did pretty well. Of course, we got 2 scores right. We got Arsenal, the 3-0 over Fulham. That we scored right. And then Chelsea, we picked the score right in that one as well, 3-1. And then we had some other games in here where we got the results right. Of course, Liverpool 4-3. We picked 2-1, but a 1-goal difference there, and Liverpool do win. And then we picked Leicester, of course. That one was 1-0 we picked, but it finished 3-0. And then we had some draws in here. West Ham, Tottenham, Sheffield. We picked draws in those games. Wolves, Everton, Newcastle coming out on top. And then the only one we really got wrong, we picked Southampton. Crystal Palace grabbed a 1-0 win. Southampton playing particularly well, but Palace, once you go a goal behind, they're very difficult to break down. So a mixed week to start. But it's not too bad. So let's jump into match day 2, and we'll just go down the line. Everton, West Brom. Everton pretty impressive the other day. Of course, grabbing their win against Tottenham. But the new midfield, it looks really good. It's a step of class above, and you can really see it. And I think they'll continue at West Brom, not starting particularly well with Leicester, another team who looked a lot like Fulham. Don't look particularly great. I give them the advantage over Fulham. They defend better than Fulham, but going forward, there's really not a lot there. I just struggle to see where they're going to get points. We're going to go Everton to win this game 3-0. It's going to be tough for West Brom, but, we'll see. Next, we have Leeds and Fulham. Going forward, Leeds are going to be dangerous. Now, I'm not so sure. I haven't seen Leeds play against teams that, really, sit back and park the bus. I think Fulham are going to do that here. Really sit back and see if they can hit them on the break. We'll see how it works out. I think Leeds are going to sneak through this. As I said, I'd like to see that. I want to watch this game just to see how it works out. But they were very impressive against Liverpool, but they opened the game up. I'm not so sure Fulham are going to come out that way, so I think Fulham will get a couple chances on the break. I don't think Leeds will have as many chances as they did against Liverpool. I like this one to finish 2-0 to Leeds. It'll be a tough one, but one of those ones that everybody ought to grab a watch at. Next, we have Manchester United and Crystal Palace. Manchester United's first game of the season. They got the extra week rest along with a couple of other teams. Manchester City included, and then the 2 that they played, Burnley and Aston Villa. So they will be pretty rested for this. Though only one new signing to integrate for United. We'll see if he starts Van de Beek. I struggle to see where United are going to play all 3 of their midfielders that they would like, I guess. I struggle to see where they get the front 3 and then they get in a midfield of Van de Beek, Fernandes, and Pogba. I don't think Pogba's going to do that, nitty-gritty, dirty kind of midfielder stuff, and I feel like he'd be the back end of that. Otherwise, you're just taking away from Van de Beek, who's pretty good going forward. So I'm not so sure how that is going to be. I think there's going to be a few growing pains here in this United side, but they should be better than Palace, who grabbed the early goal on the counter-attack against Southampton, but other than that, weren't particularly great. But they do defend pretty well. So I like this to be semi-close. I think it's going to finish 2-0 to United, but United should come through. Next, we have Arsenal and West Ham. Arsenal, who started off pretty well, 3-0 against Fulham. A good result, of course. Willian, all 3 goals he created, so he's really starting to come into his own already. West Ham, on the other hand, really poor against Newcastle. Newcastle, we thought, would have a pretty decent year, and we thought West Ham would go down, but, it's a difficult game for West Ham already, and they're going to have a very tough year. I like Arsenal to come through this 3-1. They should roll by this West Ham side. It's going to be a very tough year for West Ham. Arsenal, we'll see how their football comes. I really don't rate Fulham too highly. They're going to have to break down West Ham, and I think that's Arsenal's biggest issue at the moment, but we'll see how it goes in the second game. Arsenal 3-1 winners. Southampton and Tottenham. This one is going to be a tough one to call. Tottenham very poor. It's they were really bad, weren't they? They didn't create anything. Defensively, kind of iffy. I think they need new signings still. They're going to have Gareth Bale and Reguilon come in, but they won't be available today. Southampton, they played nice football the other day, but they were a little bit open at the back for me. So I'm not so sure how they're going to play. I think they'll be a little bit more defensive here. I think this game finishes 1-1. It's a tight one, a tough one. Tottenham's still kind of getting into it a little bit. So we'll see. Of course, they haven't looked particularly good. Obviously, the 1-0 loss to Everton, and then when they went on their Europa League trip, they were very, very lucky toward the end there to go ahead and work their way through. So a tough one, but I think it finishes 1-1. Next, we have Newcastle and Brighton. Newcastle and Brighton both having particularly good weeks. Now, I know Brighton lost their game 3-1 to Chelsea, but they were playing really good football, creating opportunities. You know, a couple mistakes here and there, and that's going to happen when you're really playing expansive football for the first time. Obviously, they've been training with it and slowly working it in, but they were really going at Chelsea the other day. Very impressive. And the Newcastle, of course, impressive. The new signings, impressive, as they swept aside West Ham. This will be a tight one. I think Newcastle are just going to edge it, though, 2-1. We'll see how that one works out. But this is probably, when you watch it, probably a really fun game. That should be a lot more fun than you would have expected 2 years ago, maybe, where you expected 0-0 kind of result. Next, we have Chelsea-Liverpool. This will be another tough one, of course. Two title challengers, as they would like to see themselves going at it second week of the year. Chelsea weren't particularly impressive, though, coming away with a 3-1 win. A great goal from Reece James, a deflection in there, a penalty. You know, some glimpses from some of the new signings. Of course, Pulisic, Ziyech, Thiago Silva, Chilwell will not be playing in this game just yet, so they're still going to have a little bit to work in. And that's my issue with Chelsea. I can't pick them to win this game. I think this game finishes 2-2. We can go with 2-2 or 2-1 to Liverpool. We're going to go 2-2 officially, but I think this leans Liverpool's way, of course. I think they're the better team, number one. And number two, just obviously Chelsea's issue last year to me was the defensive area. And they still haven't really dealt with that, or they have dealt with it. It's just not been able to come into the team just yet. Defensively, they weren't great last week playing Brighton, so they still worry me. I can't really pick them to win this game. But 2-2, whether they're okay with that, I'm not so sure. I don't think Liverpool would be okay with that. They're going to go for the win here. As I said, this leans Liverpool, but we're going to go with the draw. Next, we have Leicester and Burnley. Leicester getting off to a flyer, 3-0 win, playing West Brom. Burnley have not played yet, so this will be tight. Burnley will be fresh. Burnley, of course, having a really good season last year, but transfer-wise, they're always not great. But Sean Dyche, he is a magician back there. I think Leicester are just going to sneak by this. I think this finishes 2-1 to Leicester, but don't count out Burnley just yet. I think they just have to get into the gears early on, kind of like Sheffield needed to get into the gears, I think. After going 2-0 behind, they kind of woke up and it became a much more even game. I think Burnley are in for that kind of game, but I think Leicester go ahead and just sneak away with a 2-1 win. Aston Villa and Sheffield. Aston Villa's first game. They will be itching to go. Of course, new signings galore, though I don't think many of them will be ready for today. Traore definitely will not. Martinez maybe. I'm not so sure. So it'll be tough. Sheffield United, of course, 2-0 loss last week to Wolves, though they did go ahead and make a game of it after the fact. After the first 6 minutes were up, then it was very, very even. I think they just needed to be woken up into the new Premier League season, so I think they're going to be ready for this. I think they sneak away with it. I think 1-0 is their kind of game, and I think they'll be itching to get back at Villa, even though it wasn't Villa's fault, but they felt they could have grabbed a goal there, would have, one, sent Villa down probably, and number two, helped them fight for a European spot. So I think they'll be itching to get at this Villa side. Sheffield United 1, Aston Villa 0. And then we go into Manchester City and Wolves. Manchester City haven't played yet, but they are ready to roll now. Wolves, on the other hand, a very impressive 2-0 win away to Sheffield, or at home to Sheffield. I don't remember which. I believe it was away. But Wolves, starting off the season very well. They're going to have a good year, bringing in some signings, younger players to push the starters. And this is a very good team. Manchester City, of course, a very good team as well, though I thought they were going to be more active in the transfer market. I thought they'd try and upgrade the defense a little bit, which is still a problem, I feel. So I'm going to go ahead with a 1-1 draw here. I want to pick Manchester City, but the defense still scares me, so there's always that doubt in the back of our mind there, and we're just going to go with our gut on this one. 1-1, two very good teams here are going to be challenging, obviously, for the top 6 spots. Wolves will be trying to upgrade on what they did last year, but it'll be very, very tough. And Manchester City, obviously, a very tough squad. This could easily be anything, really. Wolves have had a good run against Manchester City, and City are obviously a brilliant team who are going to be on a mission this year. But 1-1 to start. I think they escape with a draw, Wolves, but it'll be very, very tight, guys. So let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. Hopefully we agree on some things, because I'd obviously like to get some of these right, guys. But that is going to be it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more. And peace.